Diego Maradona scored 2 goals against England in the 1986 FIFA World Cup. They came just 4 minutes apart. One was called the greatest act of cheating in football history. The other became known as the greatest goal ever scored. For nearly 4 decades, the world has argued over one question: which goal truly defines Maradona? But to understand those unforgettable 4 minutes, we have to go back to a time when football was carrying the weight of something much bigger than sport. Just 4 years before that World Cup, Argentina and England had fought the Falklands War. The conflict lasted only a few weeks, but its emotional scars remained. Hundreds of soldiers lost their lives, families were left grieving, and national pride was deeply wounded. For many Argentinians, the pain did not disappear when the war ended. It simply changed shape. So when the World Cup quarterfinal brought Argentina and England face to face in Mexico City, millions didn't see just another football match. They saw a chance to stand tall again. Not with weapons, but with a football. Every pass, every tackle, and every goal carried emotions that had been building for years. At the center of it all stood Diego Maradona. He wasn't just Argentina's captain. He was the hope of an entire nation. Maradona's journey had never been easy. He grew up in Villa Fiorito, one of the poorest neighborhoods near Buenos Aires. His family struggled to survive, but football became his escape. With extraordinary talent and endless determination, the little boy who played barefoot on dusty streets became one of the biggest stars in the world. Yet talent alone wasn't enough. At the 1982 World Cup, Maradona failed to lead Argentina to glory and left the tournament frustrated and criticized. Many wondered if he could ever handle the pressure of carrying his country on football's biggest stage. By 1986, those doubts had only grown stronger. Every Argentine expected Maradona to deliver. Every opponent wanted to stop him. The burden on his shoulders was enormous, but he never showed fear. Then came June 22, 1986. More than 114,000 fans filled the Azteca Stadium. The atmosphere was electric. Across Argentina, millions watched with hope. Across England, millions watched with determination. 90 minutes would decide far more than a place in the World Cup semi-final. The first half ended without a goal. The tension grew heavier with every passing minute. Everyone sensed that one single moment could change history. No one imagined that history was about to change twice, in the space of just 4 unforgettable minutes. The second half had barely begun when the ball floated high into England's penalty area. Goalkeeper Peter Shilton rushed forward, confident he would claim it with ease. But before he could reach it, Diego Maradona leaped into the air. Standing several inches shorter than Shilton, winning the ball with his head seemed impossible. Then it happened. The ball crossed the line, and the referee pointed to the center circle. Argentina had taken the lead. England's players exploded in protest, insisting Maradona had punched the ball into the net. They surrounded the referee, demanding the goal be disallowed. But there was no VAR in 1986, no slow-motion replay to correct the decision. The goal stood. Maradona celebrated as if nothing unusual had happened. Years later, he famously described it as a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. Those words turned one controversial moment into football's most famous debate. But before the world had time to recover, something even more extraordinary happened. Just 4 minutes later, Maradona received the ball inside his own half. There were still 5 England players between him and the goal. Most players would have looked for a pass. Maradona saw something nobody else could see. He accelerated. One defender was left behind. Then another. A third tried to stop him but failed. Midfielder after midfielder chased in desperation, yet the ball seemed tied to his left foot. Every touch was perfectly controlled. Every stride carried him closer to history. As Peter Shilton rushed out once again, Maradona calmly slipped past him and rolled the ball into the empty net. The Azteca Stadium erupted. Commentator Victor Hugo Morales could barely contain his emotions, calling it a goal that belonged to the football gods. Around the world, even many England supporters who had been furious only minutes earlier couldn't deny what they had just witnessed. It was a masterpiece of balance, speed, courage, and imagination. In the space of 4 minutes, Diego Maradona had shown football's two extremes. One goal represented controversy. The other represented pure genius. But the debate was only beginning. To England, he had stolen victory. To Argentina, he had delivered justice. The same player had become a villain to one nation and a hero to another. And while the world argued over those two goals, Maradona still had one mission left to complete, leading Argentina all the way to the World Cup trophy. Argentina's victory over England sent them into the World Cup semi-final, but the pressure had not disappeared. If anything, it became even greater. Now the entire football world was watching Diego Maradona. Some wanted to see him crowned as the greatest player alive. Others wanted to see him fail. Against Belgium in the semi-final, Maradona answered every question with his football. He scored twice, both goals filled with the same creativity and confidence that had carried Argentina throughout the tournament. There was no controversy this time, only brilliance. Argentina reached the World Cup final, just one victory away from immortality. In the final against West Germany, Argentina raced into the lead before seeing their advantage disappear. With the score tied, the dream of an entire nation seemed ready to slip away. Then, in one decisive moment, Maradona spotted a tiny gap that almost nobody else could see. His perfectly weighted pass released Jorge Baruchega, who calmly scored the winning goal. When the final whistle blew, Maradona fell to his knees. Moments later, he lifted the FIFA World Cup above his head, completing one of the greatest individual tournaments football has ever witnessed. He finished as the competition's captain, leader, creator, and inspiration, carrying Argentina to its second World Cup title. Yet something remarkable happened over the years. When people remembered Maradona's 1986 World Cup, they rarely spoke first about the final, the trophy, or even the championship run. Instead, their minds returned to one quarterfinal and two goals scored 4 minutes apart. One was the hand of God. The other was the goal of the century. Together, they created a legacy unlike any football has ever seen. One moment questioned the rules of the game. The other redefined what one player could do with a football at his feet. Even today, nearly 4 decades later, the debate continues. Was Maradona's greatest legacy his genius, or his controversy? Perhaps the answer is both. Because football isn't remembered only for perfection. It's remembered for moments that make people argue, celebrate, cry, and wonder for generations. And no match has done that more than Argentina against England in 1986. Diego Maradona left the world with 2 unforgettable goals. One divided football forever. The other united everyone in admiration. Together, they became the story of a man who was brilliantly human, flawed, fearless, unforgettable, and whose legend will live as long as the game itself.